Hello aspirants, welcome to Spardha line. Today we are conducting our run-up session 2 where I am discussing what are the factors that leading aspirant to score less marks in sociology. So after seeing the thumbnail, you might have think this is to catch your attention or to get the view. No, but I am claiming based on my experience in evaluating and mentoring sociology aspirant. And here is, I am giving you proof also. For 1 year, I worked in Convert IS where I evaluated more than 3000 answers for GS and 1000+ answers for sociology. And here it is proof where you can see I evaluated in optional 1009 answers and in GS question paper more than 3000, and after seeing my rating, which is 4.49 out of 5, you can see that how much experience I have evaluating copies and analyzing the answers, and after seeing the end result, I can tell you that what are the factors leading them to score less marks, or what is helping aspirants to score high marks in sociology. So let's, after this we'll start our discussion. So, the motto of this session is to make you aware about what are the certain myths and certain assumptions related to sociology optionals and the answer writing. And after that, I will give you what is helping students. So you have seen my experience that 1000+ answers I have evaluated, and these are all of the mains appearing students. I have seen their results also. They are scoring good marks. 270 plus. So after seeing their answers, I have come to conclusion what is helping students to score more marks and what is making them to score less mark. So first, before going to discussion, there are certain myths related to sociology optional. First is the sociology is by default high scoring subject. So whenever you listens from the toppers or from seniors, you might hear that you can choose the sociology as optional because it has less syllabus, and UPSC there is trend that UPSC evaluators are awarding more marks to sociology, but it is not that. You need certain strategy, you need certain structure, you need to have the strategy to present answer, the content, then only you can score less mark. No doubt it has less subject, less syllabus, but how yesterday we have discussed, you need to structure the syllabus properly, then it becomes less syllabus. So today we will discuss how it can become high scoring optionals. Before going to that, we will see what are the factors leading to score less mark. So first is the stucking in myth, like choosing the optional itself is more important. If you are choosing the optional because it is high scoring subject, then you are choosing the easiest way to commit you approach the failure. So before selecting any optional, you need to see the certain things. First is your interest, whether you are really interested in that particular optional subject or not, or just because of people are telling, that's why you are choosing the optional. You should have the interest. Then the resources available. So you need to have a look on this also. What are the resources available in market? Whether some material is you will get for free or not. So these aspects also you need to keep in mind. And after that, the mentorship or the guidance. So these aspects you need to keep in mind before choosing the optional. So many of people will do mistake that they will go and see the previous year questions, and after that they will decide that I can answer these questions, and they will choose the optional. So when it comes to sociology, if you see the questions from the paper 2, if you are done, you have completed enough syllabus for GS, then you will find that you can answer the question, but it is not like that one. Before choosing the optional, don't go for previous year questions, go and read the basic books and see whether you are interested in a particular optional or not, then only choose the optional. Then again, you need to keep in mind whether the resources available in market or not, and the most important is mentorship or guidance, and guidance from the experienced faculties. So these factors becomes very important before choosing any optional. Okay. After that, the second myth is that use of thinker. If you are starting sociology optional, or you are have done enough with the sociology, then you might have think that you need to use 2 thinkers in 10 markers and 4 thinkers in 20 markers. Now the question is, who told? Whether the UPSC evaluator itself came and told you that you use 2 thinkers in 10 markers and 4 thinkers in 20 markers, then we'll award you 5 marks out of 10, or the 12 marks out of 20. So this is the assumption, and this assumption is carried from the long period. So we don't know whether the only 2 thinker helps or 4 thinker helps. It depends on your analysis capacity. If you are able to bring the relevant thinkers, you can bring the 5 or 6 thinkers in 10 marker itself, but relevancy and contextuality is more important. And also you need to emphasize on the analysis part, not only just going with assumption that just bringing the thinkers you will get the marks. Not. You need to have the proper clarity on answer writing. You have to good enough to analyze the questions and bring the analytical aspect in answers. Then next is content heavy mode. The content heavy mode, nothing but just dump the content whatever you cut your content, you have just dump it there, and evaluator ultimately will give you more marks. No, there are for the compulsory questions, there are certain criteria like 150 words you need to answer. So you can't write the 200 word answer there. So content heavy mode never help you. So if you are in that assumption of your university assumption that if you write the lot of contents, then at least they will give you 2 marks, it never works. They will have the enough chance, because my mentor who was the Sunil Oberoi sir, he was the former IS officer, and so he was evaluating UPSC. So when he used to discuss me these aspects, they always used to tell they will have the enough time to evaluate the question paper. They can evaluate 2 questions per day, they can evaluate 10 questions per day, but they will give enough time to evaluate all the answers. So don't be in that assumption that just by writing the content you will get the mark. So content heavy mode will not help you. So if you want to score more, you need to come out of these myths. Okay, so next part, superficial understanding of the concept. That is again one most important aspects I have seen through these 1000 answers I have evaluated when I used to interact with students outside also. That time also heard that they are good enough to memorizing the concept, but when the UPSC asks the analytical questions, they will unable to bring there. So the superficial understanding of the concept is the that is the most crucial part, that is leading aspirant to score less mark. So what we are focusing, we focus on memorizing thinkers, the concepts without analysis, and lack of application skill. When you memorize the thinker, you obviously will not have that analysis skill. So what you need to do, you need to focus on analysis, and how you need to understand the concept with the logic. For example, if I give you example, what Marx says, religion is opium to masses. Now, if you want to understand this concept, you need to know what is the logic behind that this Marx statement. If you just memorize why he says religion as opium, then you will never have that analysis skill, or you can never apply this when UPSC asks the analytical question. So why he calls opium? Because opium has the function of reducing pain and creating illusion. So this is what opium does. I have not tried, but when I asked or when I searched it, why the Marx actually said this one, that time I got this answer from my mentor. So this is the function of the opium. And why Marx says religion opium? Because according to Marx, religion does same function in society. It reduces pain of the suffering, and it creates illusion that the social order, the social structure is divine and it is justified. So this way you need to bring the logic, or you need to understand the logic behind every concept. Then only you will able to analyze the concept or apply it into analytical questions. Unless superficial understanding of concept will never help you to score more marks. So after this, The most important part is poor understanding of the questions. So what actually students does, they will just read the questions, and they will first part, what when I interact with students, they will find the keywords, what is the demand. Before going to demand, there would be UPSC is not to they are not giving question as a previous there. They will have certain assumption, or they will have certain criteria before framing the questions. They will see your analytical skill, your grasping skill. So for that, you need to decode question properly. So what the question students actually does, they forget the basics, that is the theme and context decoding. So if you see the previous year questions, you will find that apart from demand, there would be the context. And what we'll do, we'll address only the demand. We'll totally forget the context. And they are not just giving you context just to fill that page. There would be certain assumption behind that. Now I will show you from the question. The question is, the focal point of sociology rests in interaction. How do you distinguish it from the common sense? So when I see I have seen the answers on this question, 90% of 99% of students have answered this part only. How does sociology is different from the common sense? So this is this is what they do, and they will totally forget this point. This is the context here. The focal point of sociology rests on the interaction. So before going to this part, this key demand, we need to decode this part. We need to address this context. So why the focal point of sociology rests on the interaction? You need to bring the certain thinkers. You can bring the Weber's action system. You can bring the Durkheim's social pact, etc. So bringing these aspects, you need to justify the first that context, why the focal point of sociology rests on the interaction. Then you need to go for demand, and if you see the question, it has the it will get the equal marks. First for half mark for this first question, that the context. They will consider, you will decode that context, and they will go. Then you will go for proper demand. So what happens with students? They will have the enough content for this part. How to distinguish sociology from the common sense. They will have 10 points. So in a hurry, what they will do? They will just dump 10-20 points. But again, there is linked to common sense, linked to interaction. So there is no, you cannot say that first part is separate and second part is separate. So whenever you write the difference between these two aspects, you need to focus on this interaction. This point also need to bring it here. So this is way how you need to decode the question based on the theme and the context. Then only your answer will be get the high marks. Then background decoding. This is another more important thing you need to do. So we'll see it from the question itself. In the context of changing Indian society, how do you view Andre Bethelet's conception of harmonic and disharmonic social structure? Now, if you see the question has two aspects, two things you need to decode here. That is changing Indian society. This you need to do. So changing Indian society, nothing but there was certain aspects, there was certain condition in society that is changing. So what you need to do here, you need to write what was the previous context, social context, and what is the present. So this way you will justify the changing Indian society. This aspect becomes very important. So, and this aspect many of the students will forget, and there they will lose half mark, 1 mark, because when the examiner will see the question, obviously he will expect you from that you will do these things, and this thing you only will forget. So if you want to make your answer different from the others, you need to do these things. Second, if you see how do you view, they are asking how do you view. They are not asking how the Marx views or how the other thinkers views. So what the students do, they will skip this word. They will see the Andre Bethelet's conception of harmonic and disharmonic. They will bring the Gure, they will bring the M.N. Srinivas, they will bring the Dipankar Gupta, and they will say according to them this is. It will not get marked because they are asking how do you view. So you need to write the your opinion. So here the your memorizing concept, but your analytical skill become important. That's why I'm telling you should not have the superficial understanding of the concept. You should have that analysis skill. You must learn to how to analyze the concept and how find the logical background behind the certain concepts and theory. So this is again, if you see the second, there is another question. Examine the changing initiatives of land tenure system. Changing initiative, again there is word changing initiative. So when it comes to changing initiative, you need to bring the previous initiative and the present initiative to decode that particular word, that is the changing initiative. So this aspect becomes important when you decode the question. So here you will make the difference of half mark, 1 mark, and that only will help you getting into final list. So this aspect you must keep into mind. Then third part is when it comes to decoding question, the decoding keywords. Okay. So now if you see the question, how do you justify demands deliberate stress on ideology that produce intellectual accounts on Indian society? So again, how do you justify? They are asking how you will justify. They are not asking how the M.N. Srinivas will justify, or they are not asking you how the Dipankar Gupta will justify. So it is you to justify. You need to bring your analytical skill and decode this question. Same again, same question only here. So this is what you need to understand the meaning behind the question. There again there will be certain directive words like critically analyze, examine, or there will be justify, illustrate. So these directive words carry certain meaning, and based on this meaning you need to make parts in the question. If they are asking critical justify, I know everyone is aware about this one. I'm telling it for the newcomers. You need to bring both the parts, in arguments in favor and arguments against the theory or the concept or the question given. So this aspect you need to bring. Apart from this, there is another keyword. They will ask you, what are the implications, or what are the impact? What is the consequences? Okay, so these aspects, these certain keywords in UPSC sociology paper usually they will ask. So now these words are very neutral. Implication can be positive and negative. Same way, impact, that can be also positive and negative. Consequences, positive, negative. This is again the GS type of answer, writing positive and negative aspect. We can make it sociological by bringing the functional consequences, non-functional consequences. So we can use the another theory, that is Merton's theory. So this way we can, in the headings only, we can show our application skill. So this way you need to decode the keywords along with the question. So these are the very important things you need to do, or you want to score 1 or 2 marks. Many of you might have seen that after a number of years, certain people are stuck between 250, 260. They are not able to score more. Why? Because if you want to go out of that 250, nervous 250, 260, then you need to do these things. Decoding the questions, decoding the keyword, directive word, and understanding the nature of the question. These are very important things. Then next, this is the again very important and very among the beginners I have find this aspect. What they will do, they will have the poor use of concepts and thinker or the definition. So what they will do, they will not have the contextual or the this relevant definition. So certainly for example modernity, they will have the one definition. Whenever see the word modernity, they will directly write that definition. They will not see what is the context given in the question. We'll see this from example. Europe was the first and the only place where the modernity emerged. Now there are two definitions I have given. So where in this definition, to answer this question, in introduction you need to bring the context of the Europe. Then only your definition or the introduction will have the relevance with question. Now I have two definitions. One is Daniel Lerner definition, where it defines modernization as the process where less developed society acquire the characteristics of more developed societies, emphasizing transition from traditional modern ways of life. So this is one definition of modernity. Now if you write the definition of modernity, you only think whether it is connected to this question. It is question connecting to why was the Europe was the first and the only place to modernize. This definition is true, his opinion is also true, but the definition is not contextual here. It is not fitting into relevance of the question. So if you write, when examiner will read your question, that time only he will lose that relevance, and here only you will start losing the marks in introduction itself. So when you write the definition or the use the concept, there should be have the relevance. Now I have one more definition where Anthony Giddens, he refers modernity mode of social life or the organization which emerged in Europe from about 17th century onwards and which subsequently become more or less divided in their worldwide in their influence. Now if we see the question, this definition, it has two parts. It is talking about the what are the mode of social life emerged in Europe. So it can connect to the here. Europe was the first place, and it is become more or less worldwide in their influence. Here only we are countering this second part. Your question is saying where the modernity, it was the only place where modernity emerged. So when we see this question and we'll write the definition in introduction only, we are countering, we are clearing our opinion. You can see the GPS Sociology edition video. I have discussed the question in detail. So in definition itself, there is no doubt we'll accept that Europe was the first place to modernize. So we'll write in favor, and later Europe is not only place, because all societies are modernized. India is modernized, Japan modernized, other societies are modernized. So we'll need to counter the second part, and the definition itself, I'm doing that. I'm countering the second part, but I'm agreeing with the first part. So this is where you need to write the contextual definitions in introduction itself. Same way you need to use the contextual concepts and the theories. Okay. After that, so this is the about the what are the assumptions or what are the myths related to answer writing or scoring high in sociology, and also what the mistake students does. Now I will discuss what matters. What is the important, the relevance and contextuality. Just as shown by example, when whatever you write, it should have the relevant to the question. Then only you will get the mark. And analysis part is more important than thinkers. So if you are focusing more on overuse of thinkers and skipping the analysis part, then it is nothing but just one school kid writing the answers. Whatever he knows about the keywords in question, he is writing that. But what is the demand of this examination? We are not writing any university examination, or we are not writing any examination to get the scholarship. We are writing to become an administrator. So keeping in the mind, you need to tackle the question. They will just not ask they are not frame the question to check your knowledge. There would be certain assumption or certain criteria they will check. They will check your analysis skill, because ultimately in administration we need to do this. So keep in the mind, analysis is more important than use of the thinkers. It is fine if you are not bringing the thinkers in certain questions, but analysis is more important. You can observe this from toppers copy who are scored to 300 plus 270 280 plus. So if you see the answer, there would be certain questions where they will use only the analysis part rather than use of thinker, and there will be some bouncer. Like in 2023 UPSC asked question on CSR and national education policy. Now here which thinker you can bring? So there would be some people who will be knowing this, but who will be knowing relevant thinkers, but there would be huge number of students who will be not knowing this concept. So what helps you here? That is your analysis. And what is the analysis? Use of sociological jargon, use of keyword, application of the theory. Now it comes to national education policy. When you criticize the aspect, you can bring the Marxist alienation, or you can favor also, you can bring the alienation. It reduces alienation because the flexibility provided in the that policy itself. You can bring the Durkheim specialization and differentiation. This aspect you can apply in question, because what national education policy is doing, they are focusing on individual skill rather than the one size fit all model. So what are they are creating specialized workforce, specialized human resources. So this way there is specialization and differentiation. You can bring the person's integration into society. So these aspects you can bring the different theories and apply them while writing the answer. So this is analysis part is more important than the use of the thinkers. So keep in the mind these aspects. Don't stuck in the myth that you have to bring the 2 thinkers in 10 marker and 4 thinkers in 20 markers. Then the most important, GS like answers. So when you see the question, like if I give the question to one sociology student or one to non-sociology, like he is attending GS, what are the key features of Indian or tribal? What are the key features of the tribal society in India? So there would be certain difference. Both can the right answer, but if the GS like answer you are writing here in sociology, obviously you will get the less mark. So to make your answer sociology or give you answer a sociological sweep, what you need to do? You need to use the jargons. You need to use the keywords. You need to use the concepts, theories, and you need to know the how to apply in the question. So these things are very important to make your answer sociological rather than the GS. So you can see the certain discussion in this GPS sociological edition. Certain questions are there where the GS questions are GS like, where I have discussed how to make it sociological. You can see this video and understand how understand this in better way. So next, what is more important now? The answer writing. So if you want to improve your score, what is most important is your content. You should have the sufficient and the relevant content to answer the question. So this from where you will build. Yesterday I have discussed, you can build it from the classes, or you can make certain books as your base notes. You can go chapter wise, or you can give syllabus wise. You can take the toppers notes and make it a base notes. After that you can build on that from the inputs you will get from your mentors, or whatever more content you will get from toppers copy or other toppers notes. So the content becomes very important. Then structure. This is the most important part. Structure. Here we will miss. So if you want to put your answer in proper structure, what is more important in question is a directive word and keyword. So what is directive word? Just I discussed, there would be certain directive word like critically analyze, examine, justify, illustrate. So these words become very important to make part in your answer and write the conclusion, write the introduction, because in conclusion again you need to balance the answer. So for that these directive words become important. And keyword, there would be certain question which will be very neutral in nature. So for that questions you can't write one-sided review opinion. You need to bring the both sides. So there the keywords become very important. So these aspects you need to keep in mind when you structure the answer. If you want more inputs, you can see the GPS Sociology edition videos. There I have in detail discussed these all the parts. Again, next part is the presentation. For presentation, I have the standard approach. What I will write? I will write the micro headings. And these micro headings I will explain either by example, or if I don't have example, I will explain it to convey what exactly I want to say with through these micro headings. So this is what for presentation. Again, you know that presentation has the two parts. One is the content presentation, one is the aesthetic parts. So in there you need to write the flow chart. This second type of presentation, you can diagrams, you can bring the maps, graphs. So these aspects you can focus on to improve the aesthetic parts of your answer. But more important is how you present the content. Content presentation is important because your answer should directly link to the question. So this is very important part when it comes to structure and presentation. Then the basics of answer writing. What exactly you need to do? First, decode the question aptly. We have discussed how to decode the question aptly. See the theme, see the context. You need to decode the context. To decoding context itself, you can use the flow chart. So it will help in, it will save your time, so you can devote the other remaining time to writing the key demand or this conveying the key demand in question. So this is important. We need to differentiate between the theme and the context. Apart from this, obviously directive word and keywords are very important. So based on this aspect, you need to focus on. Again, content, I have shown you content for content. You can rely on your base notes, but there is no enough content, or there is final point for content. Always you can explore, you can see the topper's answer copy. If you find some relevant thinker which is not in your notes, you can add there only. So this way you can build the content. Then structure and presentation part. Just I will discuss, you need to focus on the structuring answer. Here you need to focus on the directive, keyword, presentation. Two types of presentations are there. Aesthetic parts where you can draw the maps, you can draw the graphs or flow charts, and second part is content presentation, where you can focus on the writing micro headings and explain it with example, or the if you don't have example, you can directly explain minimum word. Then reverse engineering. So this is very important when you, if you want to prepare optional in smart way. So what is the reverse engineering? Go the previous year questions, find the recurring theme. After recurring theme, you will see that first find the recurring theme. Theme would be same for certain years, but the context will be changing. So what you need to do for notes making? You take the theme, make the that static notes for that. Then after go for context. Context wise, what the context is changing, you can make the notes, specific notes for the context also. For example, I will give the example of modernity itself. So modernity, the theme would be same every year. If you see the question there, if the question coming from the chapter 1, the unit 1, then modernity would be the theme, but the context will be changing. Once they will link it to historical antecedents in Europe, they will link it to upheaval of Europe, like French Revolution. They can link it to Industrial Revolution, or they can link it to separately Enlightenment, Renaissance part, or take the example of emergence of sociology. Emergence of sociology also they will link it to separately Enlightenment or Renaissance. So they may specifically mention Enlightenment or Renaissance, how these two aspects led to emergence of sociology. Indirectly, if they mention intellectual forces, then again the content will be same. You just need to blend it there, or they will ask how the upheaval in Europe led to emergence of sociology. So these are the changing context, but emergence of sociology is the fixed theme. So emergence of sociology, in there you will make the static notes how the sociology started emerging, and then you will cover the changing the context. You will write the notes, make the notes for historical antecedents, then you will make the notes for how the intellectual process helped there. So this aspect you can this way you can prepare the notes. So if you done this, then 90% part of resolved. Some dynamic parts would be there that can be resolved through the practice. And the most important, what you need to do, practice, improve, practice. So what is the important for practicing? That is answer writing. You don't need to start from day one, but you should start after at least 1 month. If you are not writing answer after 1 month, 2 months, then there is no use of preparing for UPSC and preparing for any optional one. So what is important? Give the sufficient time to understand the discipline, and after that start the answer writing, because ultimately answer writing will help you to understand what mistakes you are doing, how to avoid this mistake, and whether your approach, your strategy working for you or not. So these all things you will you will understand from the practicing. So practice, improve, and again practice. There is no end till the examination. Do this thing. Then next is time management. This is mostly for the mains writing students. What is worked for me in to complete the sociological paper. So time management is very important, because in 3 hours you need to write 19 questions. Previously UPSC used to give 4 pages for 20 markers. Nowadays they are giving only 3 pages. So they are making our task somewhat easy, but still you can consider they might change their pattern. They can go for 4 hours, 4 pages for 20 markers. So considering the aspect, you need to have the how to manage your time. So first is what brainstorming on the question. So if you, someone is appeared in this year, previous year mains, or who has written the mains before, they will know that they will give question paper 5 minutes before. Question paper uncertain, they will supposed to fill the some basic details into answer sheet, and they will provide you attendance sheet there only. But this is the task for maximum 1 minute or 2 minutes. After that you will get 3 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes. So what you will do, the first 5 questions. For basic idea, there would be question 1 and question 5. These would be the compulsory questions. Okay, so these compulsory irrespective of your content, whether you have content, whether you know that question or not, you need to write the answer. So considering this aspect, you can write the there would be 5 questions in question 1. So you can brainstorm this on 5 questions. Okay, so you can think about what would be introduction, what would be structure, what can be the conclusion. So these aspects you can think in this whatever time you will get. After that you can whenever they will ask you to start the writing, you can write the answers. So what will happen, whatever time 30 seconds or 1 minute you are spending on the structuring part or thinking part, that will be saved. You can use this part for dynamic questions, or if bouncer comes into examination. So these aspects you can do. And second thing what I used to do after doing brainstorm, first I used to write all the compulsory questions, that is question 1 and question 5. Totally in question 1 and question 5 there will be 10 questions. In I used to devote the 7 minutes for 10 marker. So it's nearly 70 minutes. I used to write this all the compulsory questions. After that I used to take 5 minutes ka gap, and then I used to go and choose the question. There would be a question where you need to choose, and from there would be 2 sections, section A and section B. You need to choose at least 1 question from each section. So here you can devote the time. And how I used to select the question, I used to give the ranking. I used to give ranking to the question based on my knowledge or the content I had. Suppose question 2, it will have 3 questions. So first 2 would be 20 mark, and third would be 10 marker. Same way question 3, 1, 2, 3 question you will have 20 marker for first 2, and then third question for 10 marker. So what I used to do for choosing, I used to rank that question. So for say question 2 ka first question, I have the enough content and I am confident that I can answer this question. Then I used to mark it as A. Then same way for question second number ka these questions, sub questions. If I have enough content, I am confident, I will used to mark A. And third question, if I don't have the content, I have content but I am lacking the confidence to write the answer, I used to mark it B. Same way, third question, if I don't know about any question, if it is bouncer, I don't have content, I used to mark it C. Same way, if suppose I don't have I have content but lacking confidence, I used to mark it B. And then third question also, I know very well this question, I will mark it A. Now, deciding between the questions, I used to see the A, how many questions I mark A. So depending on this aspect, I used to choose the questions. And at that time I used to devote lot weightage to the 20 marker questions. Okay, so 10 marker question, even if it you can if you don't have content, or if you have enough content, you can manage it. Ultimately it is 10 marker, 1 or 2 marker gap you can recover from other aspect. But here in 20 marker you have the good chance to score more marks. So depending on these aspect, I used to choose the which question I will choose here. So this aspect I used to write in do into choice based questions. So we are going to finish our discussion. So what is the more important? That is, the sociology is no doubt it is a high scoring subject, but you need to have clear strategy. You have to clear cut strategy along with the content and the opinion on all the aspects. So these aspects are very important rather than the considering others opinion that it is by default high scoring subject, or you should critically analyze what are the assumptions are related to sociology optional. So we are now the promotional part, that is we are launching one master course, that is Sociology Master Course. Here we are launching 2 tracks. First track would be personal guidance program, where you will get one-to-one mentorship along with support for notes making, theme decoding, how to analyze questions. So 360-degree support you will get here. And second is the second track is foundation batch, where you will focus on the complete coverage of syllabus. Along with you will get one-to-one mentorship and other what are the features available in personal guidance program. So today we are finishing discussion. Tomorrow we'll come with new topic. We are going to discuss. In third run-up session, we are going to discuss trend analysis, how why you need to choose sociology. So these aspects we'll discuss in upcoming the run-up session. Today we'll finish the discussion. Thank you very much.